let's explain freedom to you yak piss drinkers that are always sitting in public praying for more money and drugs. Economy and healthcare, money and drugs. You guys deny the Lord's Prayer. You drink yak piss. You get together and you vote, and you go in public, either in institutions for money, or, well, they're all institutions for money because you call it a church, but it's not. It's just a place where all you yak piss drinkers get together and talk about what you're going to do with your money and drugs, and then your imaginary life that happens after you no longer have your money and drugs to keep you happy or sustained or distracted or whatever the fuck you do with your money and your drugs to survive your fuck, right? Goddamn yak. Yeah, I said it. You faith-forsaking yak piss drinkers. I love you. If no one gets up and says it, who's going to fix the fucking technology, assholes? Okay. I told my mom what I was going to do. I'm not afraid of dying. Okay. Dying is what happens at the end of your life, right? Your physical existence. You're born and you die, right? So I'm not afraid of dying. I do not like being abused by selfish, brain chemical addicted yak piss drinkers that always manipulate and talk about money and drugs and sex. Yeah, a lot of you talk, you use sex for, for getting drunk and then fucking and then having children and then getting them to accept drugs and yak piss. I understand that, okay? But in the future, that light beer thing at the gosh damn Jerry Jones titty bar, right? Okay. In the future, if you want to ferment something and drink it, because you feel sorry for yourself because you can't fuck somebody who does not want to be fucked by you, well, then you go fucking do that. Knock yourself out. You have the freedom to do that. You're living the Lord's Prayer. You're living the faith of Psalms. You're living the wisdom of Proverbs. Okay? If you choose to reject it all, go drink yourself to death. Go jump off a building, We're not going to give you cars to drive around in to get entertained while you're killing each other because we observe and obey natural laws. Okay? I'll put poison in the atmosphere to cause heart disease and birth defects and cancer in old people if I fucking want to. Listen, go drink some yak piss. Okay? Go ferment something and drink it because you feel sorry for yourself because you can't fuck or be fucked anymore. Okay? You want gospels? You got gospels. Oh, Michael Youssef, shake yourself. Come on, shake yourself. I need your money. I tell you, beloved, I need your money. You yak piss drinkers that always ask for healthcare and call it drugs or drugs and call it healthcare. Hey, look, that's Bernie Sanders in the crowd. Give me money, lots of money, and some Dr. Pepper. I mean, you guys are horrible. It's horrible, man. Today's supposed to be your Sabbath. Y'all sit around and watch football, okay? And drink yak piss and talk about money and drugs. Healthcare and I need money for my drugs. Yeah. Okay. I get people, I'm just crazy. I'll stand up for the Lord's Prayer when no one else will do it. Anonymously being abused by a bunch of yak piss drinkers and drug salesmen, and and a bunch of pimps and prostitutes, and I got a problem. I'm not afraid of dying. Okay? I know at the end of this life I will die, like my Zeke did. My little doggy did. But I do not cotton to getting abused by a bunch of drug pushing, sex manipulating, pimp ass yak piss drinkers, and fuck your titty bars, man. I'm sitting here watching the foosball game, We went up to Albuquerque back in 1976 at the little old stadium they have with the rocks and everything up there, and it had artificial turf on it. And they played the richest school in the state, which was El Dorado Eagles, and the Bulldogs, kicked them sideways. We drove back home behind the bus and all rang cowbells, and then afterwards I went to the gym and got to shake hands with my favorite football player on the team, Mario Puentes, right? We still ain't living the Lord's Prayer. You motherfuckers are still drinking yak piss and sitting there and getting together, talking in public forums for money and drugs. Sex? No, you don't, when you guys talk about sex, it's kind of like, sex happens once you get your money and drugs. So if you want sex to happen, you're going to have to, get with the money and drug dealers. Okay. Okay. There you go. Here's a phone. Okay. Here's a TV. This is where you masturbate when you used to remember what it was like when you had sex before you realized it's just all about money and drugs, and that sucks. And I want the Lord's Prayer style key. Oi. I always was right, and I always knew I was a good person. I just thought we just had to survive this, and I thought all the Barack Obamas and the well, because I didn't think the George Bushes of the world were going to fix it because their dad worked the CIA and they're supposed to perform genocidal operations to maintain status quo through genocidal tribal insular warfare. But Barack Obama said all the things I wanted to hear because he's like, I'm the Black Kennedy. I can't talk publicly because it'd be political suicide about how much I like Bobby Seals and Malcolm X and all that, So I'll just innuendo around it. But Martin Luther King, that's my nigger, man. Only I don't say nigger in front of people because Oprah won't support me with her money for drugs. I need money for the train so I can do a thing about, pretending to be Malcolm X for money when we're not living the Lord's Prayer and he's a Muslim and the Muslim's supposed to stand up for us to live the Lord's Prayer and, and not be afraid of dying for doing so. Like Peter and Paul and Hassan and Hussein and Ali and, Khadijah. Okay. So, I don't have to ask you what it's like to be an asshole. I've lived in Las Cruces most of my life, so I know what assholes are like. Okay, do you understand? Yeah. Okay. Just because they put new diapers on Fort Huachuca doesn't mean these assholes have changed. Okay. Yep. Boy, they sure screwed up on that one on Parsons. You were going to screw up on that one on Parsons when I went to Sierra Vista anyway. Okay? You should have said, okay, it's time to live the Lord's Prayer. That's what we're supposed to do. Well, you already knew. You were just fucking with me. You knew the answer to the test because there is no test. You already knew. You knew from Selassie. You knew from Krishnamurti. You knew from all the other guys that came up, that's the Messiah, so saith the booketh. There's a lot of fucked up shit in there. Of course there's a lot of fucked up shit in there. And as soon as he writes down his revelation and his prayers, we're going to take it and change it because we, the CIA, are addicted to mind fucking people because it makes us feel powerful because we're pathetic. Hey, NASA, how pathetic are you? You don't have the right stuff. Don't go back up into space. Bad for your bone density. When you get supplements, it's still not. No. It's a bad idea, asshole. Okay. You have a beautiful planet that provides and sustains your life. Then you have to try to sit there and come up with science projects that destroy your planet to try to replicate planet Earth through your imagination and your invention. And then go looking for a new planet to fuck up because The Way of Fire and Avatar is just not enough sequel, prequel movies for that bullshit to come in. I'm like, really? And we're blue and we're 8 feet. It's back in Adam and Eve time. It's back in a different time when magic was prevalent. We had flying dragons, unicorns. Don't forget me, unicorns. Those unicorns looked up from those rocks and they cried. Okay. That's all bullshit. Okay. Now, there are certain evidences to show archaeological finds that have been hidden by, bigoted groups and economic groups in the Vatican and all that. Okay. But as far as, I'm sure if they found the dragons and the unicorns, that we would have those in display at all the fine museums in El Paso, there next to the ice skating rink there. Okay? So they could make a lot of money off of the new movies they're going to make. It was starring Scarlett Johansson and a bunch of other fine studs that work out all day and tell the right jokes and are charming to fuck. So, what you gonna do when she says goodbye? What you gonna do when she is gone? Those are my favorite Philadelphia Eagles uniforms. Yeah, the old Donovan McNabb era ones. I just like those colors better. I like the lighter green with the silver. A lot of people call it peacock. I like lighter green. Dark green. Dark green's all right. I don't even mind the light green on North Texas. I like green. It's a nice color. Neon green, it works, whatever floats their boat, but, so that's my favorite Philadelphia Eagles uniforms are those ones. Yeah, so kind of like reminded, Harold Carmichael's and Ron Jaworski's had these little different things going on the sleeves and and stuff. I like the ones with just the plain. I don't like a lot of mess going on. I like plain colors with the, I don't like a lot of little things going on. It's like, what's the lines for? And all the lines and so me, I just, I like my uniforms kind of basic, but I like color. So, so I don't like a lot of mess going on with the, what's that for? What's a little swoop in the line and the swoosh and the, just put in a good color, put a number on it, outline it. You can do it in different fonts, and that's cool. And or I don't mind the when they have like the name written down the pants. That's kind of cool. So I like that and stuff. But other than that, a lot of the lining and the swishing in the winter, is like, I ain't gotta see that shit. I'm just kidding around. That's just what I like. But it's other people like the other stuff, So if they like it, that's that's an opinion. And so, but that's just based on my opinion. Okay. So I don't like the black as much because everybody does black, and it's like, okay. And I understand with Pittsburgh, their colors are black and gold. I understand with the Tigers, there a lot of theirs are black and orange or black and gold, and so and things like that. So I understand when the team's colors is black, like the Red Raiders and shit. But when everybody else says, "Well, what's with the black uniforms all the time and shit?" I just with the Aggies, I like turquoise instead of black. Yeah, when I was a kid, the Aggies uniforms, I liked the turquoise as another color instead of the black. So yeah. They already have, everybody has black in the uniforms and the lines and the drawings and the and the artwork and stuff. Yeah. I get it, but they kind of overdo the black because the black is supposed to be tough, Yeah, and the white, so you have contrasting uniforms, so it's easier for the teams to distinguish between uniforms when they're playing and stuff. So it makes it easier, optically you can see it better and stuff. So that's why. So shimmy shimmy cocoa bop, shimmy shimmy bop. You yelled. Yeah, I was mad. I was sitting there, you sit sometimes of the day and you just wow. I get so tired of it. A lot of it wells up, and Suzuki, I understand Suzuki tells me, you relax, you're the focal point for stopping abuse. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. But, I have to feel the way their technology is working, and then I have to work accordingly. And it's hard. But I'm going to have to try to find more ways to relax and try to do things the way certain kind of Temple Set Illuminati groups that want to be my pot of gold at the end of the rainbow suggest that I do, because it will help me survive. But it's like, yeah, but it's not helping poor people trapped in Phoenix because of your ego and economics, not die within the week or the month or the day or the whatever. And people shouldn't be murdered, and they should be able to live out their lives and die. And we should be able to explain to them exponential growth. We need to educate, not dictate and legislate, right? You dictator, legislator, drug pushing, sorry ass, motherfucking sex manipulating piles of shit ain't worth nothing. You ain't worth shit. I understand Sun Yat-sen's so much better every day. That poor man was poisoned to death. Haile Selassie, had things that were poisoning him to death. Jiddu Krishnamurti, they kept him in pristine conditions. He eventually passed away from prostate issues because he lived in Brentwood. He moved around and lived near big cities, and pollution, you can't just take, there's no magic Freon filter in the sky and no magic carbon emission filter in the sky. Eventually it affects all of us, and the body finally succumbs to just, it being prevalent and the constant killer of human beings. We can live, guys, in good optimal conditions. They've done studies. It's anywhere from 120 to 150 years. It was just the calendar was off because they used the seasonal calendar, the Egyptian calendar, this whatever calendar was better than the ones the Hebrews were using. And so when someone's doing something better than you admit it and say, hey, this is cool, thanks. That's a good form of communication, perception, or idea, or whatever you want to call it. So I love you guys. I'm going to load this one up. Load it up fast. Make me one more, then I'm going to go get my shots up. Get your shit together. Stop being such a bunch of fucking peckerwoods on a pussy plantation, you sorry ass motherfuckers. You scientific science, rocket science fucking perverts. I mean, fix yourself fast, because if I have to do it, you're all going to be so embarrassed and your relatives are going to have to feel it for a long time to come and coming. You know what I'm saying?